Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahawashi, Bahasham, Barakahakwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the Brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. And these were the end time signs and prophecies that Yahawashi HaMashiach, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ, told his disciples to look for, to know that the end of the age of the rulership of the heathen nations was at hand, his second coming was nigh, and that the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of the nation of Israel, would be established. But as it says in Romans chapter 15, everything written aforetime was written for our learning. Yahawashi was really speaking to his disciples today who are living in these times, the last seconds of the last days before this end of the rulership of the heathen nations, chiefly by the biblical Edomites, or these so-called white people, his second coming taking place, and the kingdom of heaven under the children of Israel, who are known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today, being established. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And if you've got that spiritual eye salve, you can clearly see that these end time signs are in the process of taking place or taking place as we speak. But I'll be dealing with the pestilences in this video, and I'll be profiling an article from endoftheamericandream.com titled "More Nightmarish Pestilences Continue to Erupt All Over the World," and it was published on August 10th, so about a week ago. And as we'll see, pestilences continue to pop up all across the planet, and whether they fizzle out or continue, these are just another indicator that we are indeed living in the last days, really the last seconds of the last days. But as it says in verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. This is just the beginning stages. It's going to get much worse from here on out. And don't be surprised when you see major pestilences erupt that really catch people's attention, because they start taking out people in mass numbers. And it's ultimately the will of Yahweh Bahasham Yahawashi to judge you people on this planet for all the wickedness you've been committing. Why is this happening? Each week, it seems like there is another new outbreak somewhere in the world that the experts are deeply concerned about. Prior to 2020, which was deemed the year of prophecy by Apostle Tahar, it was never like this. In the old days, the vast majority of us never even thought about when the next pandemic might happen, because such a scenario seems so improbable. But here in 2022, which has been deemed the year of Yahweh Bahasham Yahawashi, turning things up by Apostle Tahar, and we can clearly see that things have been turning up exponentially. All these are the beginning of sorrows. A bird flu situation has killed tens of millions of our chickens and turkeys. And what is that going to further exacerbate? These food shortages, biblical famines, which are coming as well. A monkeypox outbreak has already spread to more than 90 countries all over the globe. Confirmed cases of the Marburg, which I'll be referring to as the Mossberg virus, have been reported in Africa, and very serious diseases that were once almost entirely eradicated are popping up even in the Western world. What are we supposed to make of all this? Hey, realize that it's all the will of Yahweh Bahasham Yahawashi visiting this planet which he made to judge you people for the wickedness you've been committing. The latest outbreak that is making headlines all over the globe has happened in China. According to a British news source, there have been 35 confirmed cases of a disease called Langya Hanipah so far. Cases of a deadly virus on the rise in eastern China are not a cause for alarm, scientists have said amid comparisons with the C19. So far, 35 cases of the disease known as Langya Hanipah or LAV or Langya have been confirmed among farmers in 2 eastern provinces of China, with no deaths reported. We are being told that the Chinese were able to identify this outbreak very quickly thanks to an early detection system. The situation, named Langya henipavirus, or LayV, was found thanks to an early detection system for feverish people with a recent history of exposure to animals in eastern China. The patients, mainly farmers, also reported fatigue, cough, loss of appetite, and aches, with severe developing blood cell abnormalities and signs of liver and kidney damage. And think about it like this: what would be an easy means for an even more efficient early detection in people to see if they've got a potentially deadly pestilence or not? A charagma in them. A couple of years ago, at the height of the Cragamuffin 19 situation, you had some people out there talking about how these different agencies were working on a microchipimplant that could be put under the skin and be an early detection system for for people who are potentially infected with the pestilence. Think about it. And remember, you had that Swedish company a couple of months ago say that you could get your Cragamuffin 19 shot verification on a charagma. Hopefully, this will not turn into something big. And the fact that none of the victims have died so far is good news, because the WHO says that the family of situations that this comes from can have a 40 to 75% fatality rate. While none of the patients have died or suffered serious illness, it's a situation that hasn't infected human beings prior to this outbreak, so there are a lot of unknowns. And we're living in the times when the unbelievable will become the believable. Being under the henipavirus umbrella, it has the potential to do some serious damage. The WHO data classifies henipavirus with a 40 to 75% fatality rate. Meanwhile, polio has made a comeback in the United States. This wasn't supposed to happen. Our country was declared polio-free in 1979, and there had not been a single case that had originated in the US since that time. But now there has been a case where an individual has been paralyzed by polio in New York, and we are being warned that there could be hundreds of other cases. Hundreds could have polio after an adult in the New York City metro area caught the situation and suffered paralysis last month, the state's top health official said this week. New York State Health Commissioner Mary Bassett warned that the confirmed polio case in an unjump-shotted adult, coupled with the detection of the situation in sewage outside the nation's largest city, could indicate a bigger outbreak is underway. It turns out that polio has also been detected in sewage in London, and this has prompted the UK to begin a large-scale jump shot program for children. Children living in London will be offered an extra dose of the polio jump shot following the discovery of polio virus in sewage in the British capital, health authorities announced Wednesday. The UK Joint Committee on Jump Shots and Immunization said a targeted and activated polio jump shot booster dose should be offered to all children between the ages of 1 and 9 in all London boroughs. And who's to say, with all these pestilences coming out and them saying that people need to be jump shotted against it, who's to say that those jump shots are for that particular pestilence? They could be the Cragamuffin 19 jump shot switched in its place, since a lot of people have been waking up to the adverse side effects of the Cragamuffin jump shot and haven't been getting their boosters. So that'd be a perfect way to get more of those third and fourth, fifth and sixth, whatever, boostr jump shots in people. And we can't put anything past this devil. He's living in the last seconds of his rulership. And as it says in Revelation chapter 12, verse 12, he's about to come down in great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And also, who's to say that some of these pestilences taking place, as well as some new ones popping up, aren't adverse reactions from people getting their Cragamuffin BOOSTER jump shots already. Polio is a truly horrifying disease. Once you understand what it can do to someone, you would not wish it on your worst enemy. According to the WHO, polio can lead to irreversible paralysis in some cases, and a certain percentage of those that get paralyzed will eventually die. 1 in 200 infections leads to irreversible paralysis. Among those paralyzed, 5 to 10% die when their breathing muscles become immobilized. Of course, this article would not be complete without an update on the Curious George situation. The number of cases continue to rise at an exponential rate. It is being reported that the situation has now spread to 93 different countries, and the total number of confirmed cases has now risen to 32,824. Authorities are telling us that so far it has been primarily spreading among men that have intercourse with other men, and you know what a group they belong to. But that is not the only way that it spreads. Generally, the Cragamuffin situation transmits through direct touch, close-range respiratory droplets over a prolonged time, and through contact with highly contaminated materials such as bed linens and clothes that have touched people's skin lesions. Overall, the lesions are considered the primary concern, as they are teeming with virions. The situation can also be transmitted from a pregnant person to a fetus. Infections during pregnancy can lead to complications, congenital defects, and stillbirths. An increasing number of women and children are getting infected, and we are being told that there is a risk of spread in any settings where large numbers of people get together. Sounds somewhat similar to what they were saying was the case when the Cragamuffin 19 was at its height. It was only a matter of time before Curious George made it to congregate settings, a pediatric infectious disease specialist told Fortune, after Illinois state officials announced Friday that a daycare worker had been diagnosed with the smallpox-related situation. There is definitely potential for spread of Curious George in daycares, schools, college campuses, prisons, and other similar settings. Concerts, sporting events, etc., said Dr. Alexandra Brugler-Yantz, an infectious disease specialist at Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. For now, nobody in the health community is suggesting any sort of LOCKDOWNs to help prevent the spread of this situation. Let us hope that it stays that way and Abaratazai doesn't, and more LOCKDOWNs take place. To further put a strain on these economies across the planet and further bring about that GREAT, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, and that charagma. Unfortunately, what we are witnessing right now is just the beginning, and that's an understatement. Remember, all these are the beginning of sorrows. As I write this article, mad scientists all over the globe are monkeying around with some of the most virulent pathogens that have ever existed. In many of those cases, they are purposely trying to make those pathogens even more deadly. And if the author of this article can see that, what's to say a lot of things taking place aren't man-made pestilences to further bring that ordo ab chaos, that order out of chaos. It was too easy for an accident to happen, and once a bug gets loose, it can spread all over the planet very rapidly. For years, I've been persistently warning that we would be entering a time of great pestilences, and now we are here. I know that a lot of people out there would really love to return to normal, but that isn't going to happen. And what we're going through right now is the new normal, the times of the judgments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai on you people on this planet for all the wickedness you've been committing. And it's only going to get worse from here on out. That's it with this article. Now I'm going to close it out in 2nd Esdras in the Apocrypha, chapter 16, verses 17. Woe is me! Woe is me! Who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? If you're a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American, or even an Israelite foreigner who looks like a heathen nation, but you've come across the words of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and it stirred your spirit to realize you are an Israelite, you should be doing everything you can right now to get back into the good graces of your power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, so you can hope to have that protective hedge over you for when all these calamities of Jacob's trouble really kick off. Verse 19, behold, famine and plague, pestilences, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment, scourges for correction, scourges for punishment, scourges for judgment. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.